Hey, Cmax here. Welcome to the complete answer to what is the best gun for me to purchase for my first gun. I had a friend at work ask me this question, and he didn't really know a lot about firearms yet, so instead of trying to explain it, I thought it'd be better to have some visual reference. So I told him I'd make a video. And I will give you the answer at the end. It'll be the correct answer. There'll be no doubt about it. What's the best gun for you to buy for your first gun? First of all, let's talk about some basic things about handguns. Now, this video is directed at a first-time buyer, someone who maybe not be that experienced in firearms. So if it seems rudimentary to you, probably not interested in watching the video. But we've got two basic types of handguns. You have revolvers here on your left and pistols on your right. Now, the official ATF definition of handguns is revolvers, and the thing about revolver is they classify it as anything that holds ammunition in a cylinder that revolves as a revolver, such as that. Everything else is a pistol, so that makes it easy. Revolvers, everybody knows the old West, classic look, haven't changed a lot in the way, in their appearance, changed a lot in functionality. Pistols, super high variety of different pistols available. These are just some examples, borrowed some from a neighbor so I could throw this video together. Some of them are mine to put together to show you. Some basic functions and differences, so when you're trying to determine what you want, you'll kind of know what's out there. Alright, revolvers, typically, there might be some weird variances, but they typically have no safeties on them. I have seen, a friend of mine at work has one, I think it's a Heritage or something, that's got a safety on it. It's kind of strange, but so there's always exceptions to every rule. But typically revolvers, no safety. They're either single action, double action. They're very reliable. They tend to support more powerful rounds than pistols do. But they typically have less capacity than pistols do, and we'll get into all that in a second. I think revolvers are just beautiful guns. Some people hate them. With firearms, you're going to get opinions on everything, so make your own assessment. Pistols, more complex. You have to deal with things such as safeties, lever type, grip types, various different ones, decockers, whether the gun will function with a magazine in it, magazine out. Lots of different questions there. You typically have single action, just like the revolvers, and double action, and striker fired. I'll explain a little of that in a minute, but not going to get into that in detail. Revolvers, very reliable. Pistols can be very reliable. There's just more things you have to deal with to get that reliability level. The revolvers being so simple, you get into a stress situation, you don't want to have to think about a bunch of different things. So I tend to like revolvers for people starting out, because they're more, especially if it's going to be for self-defense, because it's simpler to operate. You get scared, you don't want to have to worry about, is there one chambered, does the magazine spring strong, is the magazine loaded? Just, there's lots of things you have to know. So you have, if you're going to carry a pistol, you have to be very, very familiar with it. So you can't just go out and buy a pistol because you saw one on TV and put it in the drawer, and then somebody's kicking your door down and you're going to grab it and make it work? Probably not. Probably worse off with it. Now revolver, double action revolver, boom. As long as it's loaded, you pick it up and you point it and you pull the trigger. Super simple. But that doesn't mean that that's necessarily your best choice. One thing, if you try to pick a gun based on watching a TV show or a movie, that's bad advice. TV, movies do not get hardly anything correct about firearms. And that goes down to the magical clip versus magazine. The semi-auto pistols are magazine fed. This is a magazine. It's where it holds the bullets inside a container. This is a clip. It holds the bullets with no encasement. They're just by themselves. Now this is a clip of Russian 7.62 by 39. This is the actual clip itself, and it just holds them. And this is just to transport them, to load them into something else, to a magazine. And I'll show you what that's all about. This is the 223, 5.56, the US stripper clip, Russian stripper clip. Magazine. When you start talking about guns, if you call a magazine a clip, the gun person you're speaking to is going to know right away you really don't know what you're talking about. And is it a big deal? No, but it's just one of these stickler things where you'll get slammed for it if you try to talk about firearms and you call magazines clips. This is not a magazine, and this a clip because it's smaller, fits in the gun. No. TV, movies, wrong, wrong, wrong. Just about everything. The clips are carried in what they call a bandolier, which is a cloth device that holds several of them in pouches. I've got one right here. This is for the AR. You can see here you have the stripper clips down in the compartments. You throw it over your shoulder, you carry ammunition, you run up, you throw it to your buddies, they load it up, they grab their magazines. This is an AR-15 M16 magazine. It comes with this little adapter. Slides right on the back. You take the stripper clip, push on it, feed it into the magazine. So you're able to feed it fast. Okay, Russian, same kind of setup. Here's a Russian AK-47 mag with a 7.62 by 39, or what we used to refer to as the commie round. Same kind of thing. This deal clips up, slides right into it, push on it, feeds into the magazine. The Russian carbine, the SKS, actually at the top of the bolt, when the action comes back and locks, it has a stripper clip built right in. You can feed it right through the bolts. Pretty cool, actually. But that is the difference between a magazine and a clip. So best thing to do is just forget about clip. Just get it out of your mind. Don't even use the terminology. You don't run up on this. There's very few handguns that take any type of stripper clip. The old broom handle Mauser did, because its magazine was built in, so you could only feed it through the top. So the action would lock back, and then you would basically feed it through here because it would eject through the bottom. You don't see that much anymore. So basic, don't say clip, magazine, magazine, magazine. Single action, double action. This is a single action revolver, typically the same style that you saw in the Old West. Now what the single action means is you pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen. Weapon's unloaded. You have to cock it before the trigger will serve any purpose, and drop the hammer. You eject through this port. That pushes the spent case out one at a time. Obviously very slow, reloading very slow, and ejecting the old rounds. Now one thing you can remember, you saw the old westerns where the guy's fanning it. Well, the reason he's doing that is a single action gun. He's holding the trigger down. The only way to keep it firing as fast as possible is to fan it. So they used to do this number. Don't think it's very effective in actual hitting your target. More of just putting lead down range and intimidation factor. Double action. What that means is you pull the trigger, the hammer's going to come back and drop. Double action. With a double action revolver or pistol, you can pull it back and use it as a single action. Now the big difference is the double action, because it's got to pull the hammer back against a spring to release it, is it takes more pressure to pull this back than it does to just drop it. So as you're aiming and you pulling that in, you tend to pull off your target. So when you see me shooting my revolvers, I typically always cock them. It just seems real natural. This one does have a laser. Real quick, let me just run through these. This is a Ruger Blackhawk 357 4 5/8 inch barrel. This is a Taurus. It's just a 22. It'll shoot the shorts, long rifle, or the longs. It's 9 shots, just a plinker gun, really light. This is a Taurus Titanium 7-shot 357 Magnum. Will also shoot 38s. It's a good thing about the Magnums. You can train with 38s, cheaper, easier, or use them, you know, shoot a plus P38 and a 357. Not so much kick, but still a lot of power. SP101 looks a little bit different. This is one of the 3-inch barrels. Not a lot of those out there. Nice looking gun. It's a 5-shot. So you typically, standard revolver has 6 shots, but you do have variances due to size of the frame. This one's a 5-shot and this one's a 38. Charter Arms off duty, that is a 5-shot, 38 only. This one is a 357 Magnum, and then of course you've got the full size Ruger Security 6-inch barrel 357. Now on the reloading, on the revolver, they do make what they call speed loaders. Got a couple. I've never gotten the talent down to reload a revolver very fast. Typically, you know, self-defense mode, you're probably not going to need 5 or 6 rounds. You know, in your typical one-on-one bad guy, you know, confrontation. So that's kind of a plus for self-defense for a revolver. Simplicity, reliability, high-powered rounds. But the real negative side is the reloading and the initial capacity. On the automatics, same kind of thing. You have double action, single action. The double action will pull the trigger back. As you see, watch the hammer here, you pull the trigger back and release it. Single action, or after the slide function, so you shoot around, it's automatically going to be cocked for the next one. Then it takes very little pressure here to drop the hammer. So that's the difference in that. Pistols tend to have safeties. This particular one does not. Does have a decocker though. What the decocker means is if you have one in the chamber here, the hammer's back. You can drop the hammer without firing the weapon by using the decocker. Now if you look at it, you can see that one come down a little pretty easy. This one drops a little faster, but some people like them, some don't. I don't really have a preference. I don't care either way. This one, that's a safety. So to operate this weapon, you have to make sure one is chambered, magazine's full, the spring in the magazine's strong so it'll feed up and make the gun cycle right. So you have to, you know, is it cocked, not? Is it going to be a double action pull, a single action pull? Or if it's a single action gun, you've got to cock it before you shoot it. So these are more complicated. They tend to shoot a smaller round. This is a 9mm round, as is this one. This is just a 22, shoots a long rifle only. This is a 40 caliber Smith & Wesson, shoots 40 caliber. .45 Glock. Shoots the .45 caliber. Big slow round, lots of impact. Got a .380 auto and another 9mm with the double action only pistol. So there's no hammer on this one to cock back. So every trigger pull, the hammer is going to come back and then fall. Makes it a very simple pistol to shoot. On that particular one, there's no safety. So it's kind of like a revolver, but that one's got 17 rounds in the magazine. High capacity. This one's standard 15, 13 .45s in this one. There's 13 40s in this one. So, you know, you've got a smaller round and many more rounds to use. Now, you'll see the critical defense boxes. I put those out there because I wanted to say, on any gun that you use for self-defense, I think in legalities I have read that it could be an issue if you shoot someone with your own reloads. Well, like, you know, like the prosecution can say you made it extra lethal or some ridiculous stuff, and the same kind of thing goes for all this zombie junk. I'm not a fan of the zombie thing. You know, there again, I've read that possibly, oh, you were infatuated with zombies and you just wanted to kill something, so you shot this guy because you were playing zombie. You know, I don't know if that's true or not, but in today's day, would surprise me a bit. I don't like the zombie crud anyway, so it's not a big problem for me. I just recommend stay away from it. Shoot, defense load. There's lots of good ones out there. I did some research. I really do like Hornady stuff. The critical defense with this special bullet was came up really good, so that's the line I decided to go with. So those are the basic differences, pluses and minuses of everything. Some basic clip versus magazine. Safety issues. You know, there's a whole bunch of different rules. The main thing is every gun is loaded. I don't care if you know it's unloaded, it's still loaded. That way you've got all the bases covered. Muzzle control. Know where the gun is pointed all the time. It's not as hard as it seems. You just have to think about it. Every time you pick up a gun, you check the action. Is it empty? Now, if I come over to your house and you take this gun and you unload it and hand it to me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the action and I'm going to look at it. Even though I just saw you do it. It's a good habit to be in. What if he didn't drop one of the cylinders and there's still a round in it? Sometimes an inside round or something is a little bit dirty, didn't fall out. He thought it did, handed it to me. He actually handed me a loaded gun, didn't know it. Doesn't matter. You trust no one. This is high responsibility and you've got to know what you're doing. Guns can be dangerous. They can also be very safe, just like driving a car. You know, if you don't know how to operate it, you don't know what you're doing, you get in a car, you're probably going to kill somebody yourself. Same thing with a gun. You just have to know what you're doing, respect it. It's a big responsibility, and treat it as such. So, guns always loaded, always know where you're pointing the muzzle, always check the action when you touch a gun. Never put your finger on the trigger. Put your finger down the side. You don't need to put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to destroy whatever you're aiming at. Last basic kind of thing is just because you have a shot at something, you don't take it necessarily. I have a problem with squirrels here. I shoot the CCI CB shorts, which is basically, this is a 22 short round that has no powder in it. It's projected by the primer. Runs about 700 feet per second. It's kind of funny, I just chronographed it when I went to the gun club last week just to see the difference between the long rifles and the shorts. But it's quieter than my Gammo out of my Remington 514, which is about a 22-inch barrel, single shot 22. So I go outside and I have a 6-foot privacy fence out in the backyard. So I step outside with my rifle, and right there, 10 feet in front of me is a squirrel sitting right on top of that 6-foot fence. Now that's a horizontal shot. There are other houses around. I can't take that shot. You've got to know what's behind what you're shooting at. So just as important as anything else, past where anything is. So you always have to think what's behind you. Shooting into a hill, wall, berm, you know, you got to know what's behind you. So that just about covers everything. Once again, clip, magazine. Do not use the term clip. Liberals like the term clip because they think it sounds more dangerous, more powerful. And the libs never get the gun stuff right either. Terms such as high-powered assault rifle. There's no such thing. By definition, an assault rifle is a smaller rifle that shoots an intermediate cartridge. It means it's not a full high-powered rifle and it's not a pistol cartridge. It's in between. So by definition, it's not a high-powered assault rifle. There's no such thing. That's like saying that you have a high-powered submachine gun. There's no such thing either. The sub means that you shoot pistol ammunition. Typically either this one or this one. Whoops. And so just remember, the libs, the movies, TVs don't get it right. Get professional instruction. Go to the range, indoor, rinse. You know, it's pretty cheap to rent some different weapons. Go with somebody that you know. Shoot their weapons. See what you like. So the answer is, the best first gun that you should buy is, I have no earthly idea. Only you know. Everybody's different. You're going to like something different. You need something different. It may be your first gun, but you're going to become a police officer. You're going to spend lots of time training with it. You're going to get super familiar with it. Then I would probably say go with an automatic. Which one? Just depends on your preferences. What do you like? Revolver? Say, well, I'm going to get one for my wife, but she's not going to shoot it very much. Okay. Recommend a double action revolver. Load it up, take her to the range every once in a while, just get her used to it. It's going to do the job. She doesn't hardly ever shoot it. She goes to pick up an automatic. Is there one chambered? Is the safeties on? Somebody's kicking the door in. She's not going to have time to think about, oh, well, how do I take the safety off? I don't remember. Just not a good choice. So bottom line is, you're the only one that knows what's the best first gun for you. You'll make a better choice with the more research you do. Like I'd said before, you ask 100 people, you're going to get 100 different answers. And the truth is, the absolute correct answer is nobody knows but you. If you have any questions, please email me. I appreciate you watching. You can get a hold of me at cmaxarms@gmail.com. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.